Hi everyone and welcome. In this recording, I'm going to be speaking about this upcoming new moon that we have in the sign of Cancer on the 29th of June 2022. Now, this is not going to be my usual astrology report because there is a side to this new moon that perhaps not a lot of astrologers and mystics are going to be speaking about. So that means someone has to do it, and I'll take this on even if I'm going to lose subscribers and you know. So, yes, of course, every single energy in the sky, in ourselves, everything can have different octaves, different ways of expression, different scales, harmonic scales on, the if there even is such a thing as a harmony meter. But we human beings, especially our mystics, have attempted to, form a graphical image of that with ANSA and pendulum measurements, drowsing, and anything of sort, because that is where we, the one who has the question, can basically predetermine a measurement system. So why am I even saying this? Because that's how octaves work. There is a high one and there is a very low one, and usually neither of them is what appears in our lives, even collectively. Usually it's in between. So, no one even goes to the highest and the lowest, not even astrologers, because we know what are the probabilities. Now, this is where there is a bigger probability to hit the low, and the low is not pretty. This is where the low is. Remember the scorpionic eclipse in May, and remember how it really triggered this, and in such a way where we cannot doubt it anymore. This is where it was literal. If it was childhood traumas, if it was family problem, if it was our own health issues, something really triggered this, and the filth truly came to the surface collectively in so very many ways, in the news, trials, legal cases, so very many things. Yet that was alcohol. So alcohol usually likes to work with powerful, if you know what I mean. So alcohol doesn't like the small people, because small people, so to speak, do alcohol's game anyway. It's in society, it's in our everyday lives, it's in education system. So we are really alcohol's puppets one way or another. However, there is a power player in the sky which isn't even a real planet, it is just a projection. Black Moon Lilith, who at her lowest, she can outdo anything. She can outdo Algol, she can outdo other evil stars, she can outdo Ixion, she can outdo, for example, in matters of rebellion, Uranus. Because Uranus comes with rebels, but with a truth. Black Moon Lilith can come with such a twisted version of truth that Pluto can take lessons. Pluto doesn't even want to go there. So that is why this energy is bound to have a really low expression somewhere. And let's hope that it's not in our individual lives. And for us to make sure that it's not our individual lives, we will have to alchemize it. So guidance and solid spiritual advice is needed in this case. So I'll attempt and I'll do my best. But before I get to that part, doom and gloom, let's speak about the more positive expression of this energy, because even Black Moon Lilith, and why Black Moon Lilith? Because, Black Moon Lilith in herself is a lunar energy. The moon is the ruling planet of this new moon. And the sun is, how should I say? According to the ancients, the sun was the king of the sky and the moon was the queen of the sky. So you can imagine that when the king is in the part of the kingdom which belongs to his wife, so to speak, well then it still means something. So it still has a much more gentler, a much more Cancerian expression, but strongly fueled by the flames of Leo, because the husband is just one sign away. His territory is there. So whenever he crosses the territory of his wife, he tends to put on, his most loving, caring, gentle, non-egotic expression. But the thing is that right now his wife is not herself, because she's conjunct her shadow self. So that means things happen. Not so favorable things happen, because even if the husband is his primarily example, his best self, with a dark wife, everything is a problem. When the wife has a strong headache, Black Moon Lilith, well, it doesn't matter what the husband, if he's loving, if he's caring, if he's ignorant, whatever he does is a problem. So the sun is also in danger, because the sun can represent the ego, a highly emotional and sensitive ego, and Black Moon Lilith is there to pollute it, is there to make it. But this also has a positive expression, because there are certain types of people in the world, and that means collectively as well, who exaggerate with ideals, who exaggerate with nuances of purity. Like purity here down on earth. Again, I must say this. Well, when a lion kills its prey, that is ultimately pure. But from a divine perspective, and to us humans, and especially elevated humans, especially those humans who aspire towards the light, well, it's not so pure. So this forms a square, an ideological conflict, a cannot process kind of energy internally. And this is highlighted also in the sky, because this new moon holds a tight exact square to Jupiter in the sign of Aries, the self. And the instinctual self. Also, the self, the self which needs to feel the self which is fueled by the self. That cannot be bypassed only by saints, but saints are sometimes total lunatics. A saint can be someone who's locked up in the mental asylum and no one knows. So okay, those people have a different relationship to the sign of Aries even within them, but the rest of us are. But there are some people so sensitive, so frail, so fragile, empathic, who give themselves to the Christ consciousness in different ways and forms, who are very, very weak in this part of the self, the Aries part. It doesn't generate itself. So either they pick some food up from, some love up from other people, and they are attracted to bad boys and girls who use them a little bit. And why? Because they need that Aries. That bad boy and girl gives the warrior of itself to the empath, and the empath alchemizes it. So because she has a deficiency. So why am I saying this? Because that's Black Moon Lilith's speciality. That's how she enters the empath's consciousness. Now her positive expression, when the empath so happens to live in love and light and do things towards the harmony of greater things, well then this Black Moon Lilith just awakens the empath's more grounded in physical reality and nature and human condition side, which says you need a partner, you need a family, you need a pet, or you need some love, you need care, you have a lot of emotional needs. Spirituality bypasses that by nature, so you cannot escape even in the spiritual. No, you cannot be a monk, you cannot be a hermit, because not in 2022 and not in the circumstances that you have in your life. So Black Moon Lilith opens these people up to express themselves. So for artists, for everyone that's positive. Because it makes them vulnerable to be prey of someone. Now, a usual empath is totally not sane as a, a person who seeks love because they believe in fairy tales. So usually their love life is blocked by a brick wall, by a concrete angel, and that's also a song. If you'd like, search it on YouTube. It's blocked, and so the empath thinks that I live in purity and the divine is gonna reward me any day now with the perfect love and the fairy tale and the twin flame illusion, the Luciferian expression of love. Anyway, so, and nothing happens. But there are darker aspects which make everyone vulnerable to lost or to having fun or just not wanting to be alone. There is a carrot on a stick for everyone, even spiritual, empathic people. So they meet that very special, unusual person and connection forms, and well, where were you all my life? Well, that's where they were always there, just that you weren't there. You were in somewhere in the heavens above, and this person might have been living more down to earth, and this is how you meet. So it's all good, because ultimately, new moon in Cancer, that's the astrological period of the year when everyone is more susceptible to form families, form relationships, to resolve such problems, if any, in their lives, with family, with partners, with new moon. Like a new moon can give way to a new emotional reality ultimately in the sign of Cancer. We can say that in so very many different ways psychologically. Astrology has 10 trillion branches, so we can, every type of astrologer will adapt it to their own special, label ultimately, their nuance, their lens. But it forms, it opens a new emotional reality, and we do what we want with it. So let's make sure that we do what we want with it, because the square to Jupiter in the sign of Aries can help us do exactly that. Do something with it out of sheer own volition. We are not stronger than any other force in the universe when it comes to us, not even fate, not even destiny, not even anything, because the source made sure of this. The source's other children dislike it no matter how holy they are. So that's why no one can control us. Everyone and everything has to manipulate us in order to get what they want, especially if they don't have a human form. But in human form as well, because, TV and stars and movies. So that takes human form as well. So where I'm going with this, no one can determine your fate, only you. It may seem to you that other forces are interfering, but that's just your karma. That's just your own actions and ripples, and Cancer and every water sign has family, past related karmic energies to it. So this is when emotionally who we were revertebrates back at us, who our parents were. And I must say this because this is important, even though this is my personal life. So this morning I met with a good friend of mine who is Christian Orthodox, which means they will not have incarnation and they will not recognize incarnation as such. And we were having a spiritual debate, and he said to me, "Look, man, I can get that you understand incarnation astrologically, but for us, what you say as karma is what your parents and forefathers have done back to 7 generations. Well, you were a genetic material." Well, you were. Let's not hide it. You existed somewhere in someone. Your vibration. So, okay, let me as an astrologer say, okay, man, I am trying to see things the way you see it. So I cannot say that it's a total BS, because physically it does make sense. We were the matter that we also are, even if it's just a nanogram of it existed, was alive 7 generations back. So this is that kind of energy, where something comes back to you from 7 generations. But if you're prepared, as I said, if you're a person who lives in love and light, and this is exactly why I'm doing this horoscope a bit early than my usual timing, because sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm mixing it up. Lent, where you just purify even your body, the food, it doesn't matter what tradition you follow, there is purification and cleansing ritual physically as well, and just get closer to pure vibrations. But that doesn't mean, why are we getting closer to pure vibrations? Not to block out the opposite. Exactly, not to do that, not to input that effort. When our vibration comes closer to the divine plane, it leaves us alone because it doesn't want us. We are disgusting to it. So we don't have to we don't have to watch out. We can be ignorant for a little while and just naively go on our path. That's why it's a very strong spiritual tool. The purification, the health, the spiritual, the sacrifice, yes, it's part of it, but this is another part. Defense, a strong defense. So any type of shadow energy is definitely not going to choose you. Now, if you want to have family and children and have fertility issues, the shadow energy can be very fertile. So if you spiritualize this 29th of June, it can help with fertility stuff. It can help a lot because the divine will guide it. And just purify yourself and, having children. And I don't like these things to talk about it, but I have to. So if you want to have babies, well then when you give yourself in the most divinely pure fashion to your partner, you don't give yourself your essence. Well, babies are definitely born from that spiritual act. So be inventive, because Lilith is instinctual. Force her to help you to use her good side. And as artists, as healing, as closing past chapters, forgiveness with our family. Because if you use this energy of the new moon in that sense, give me this, because it's in the it's in the domain of Cancer, so it's up to you. Use it for forgiveness. Be a ruler over your emotions. Love has to be free, absolutely. But the effect love has on you, that's your choice, that's Cancer. Initiate. Use the initiative, Jupiter. So when Jupiter empowers in a square manner, that means that it's gonna be stressful. But use stress as the best way to alchemize this. Imagine that you're Hercules, or you're a hero in the legends, Greek legends or whatever. The stars, the planets, energies or deities or whatever you believe in is, as it was always, up above watching you. And they're the spectators. You're the hero, Jupiter in the sign of Aries, Mars in the sign of Aries, Chiron in the sign of Aries, Mars at the time of this new moon, meeting his sister, Eris. So, the patron saint of creative chaos according to Pam Gregory. So you can imagine that it's a powerful energy at play. Empowerment, total empowerment of will. Your will. If it's not your will, then you give your will away to something else. Or if you stop from expressing your will, it will turn inward, and there you go, a depression. So use this energy. If you cannot express it any other ways, draw, paint, create, that's safe. That's the safe zone. If you have to, use the safe zone. Create, dream, paint, poetry, cook, do invest it physically. Jogging, sport, going out and invest it physically. Rather than go insane, choose to invest it physically. And again, Cancer, cleansing, clean your house. Like an OCD person, invest the energy so it doesn't get aggressive. Because it may not be aggressive and there is a big temptation of aggression. So you must be careful with this. So also, you're not gonna feel like yourself. Aries, the rebel. Aries, the warrior. What does Aries want? Everyone to have equal chances regardless. Aries thinks that even a total, for example, Paralympics, Aries, everyone must live the same thing or have at least the choice to. If you don't wish it, no problem at all, but it need the equality forcefully, even if it's absurd, even if it doesn't make sense. For the sake of equal chance, Aries needs it, because otherwise she'll get aggressive. I mean, in mythology, she was extremely aggressive in many different ways, and but if there's equality, she is very diplomatic. And not she, if her energy, she isn't a person, but she's an energy. Any electrical energy, for example. Well, the application YouTube you're watching this on, someone made it behave in a certain way, that's why you're watching it. So it can still have a personality or something. Where I'm going with this is that, Eris, we're rebelling. We are not like ourselves. We're strong. We feel it. We know our truth. We know what we want. We know that we deserve it. Jupiter, are we gonna choose to believe in this, that the universe will favor us? And if you're an underdog, a victim, whatever, this is your chance. Eris. Mars ticks Eris. So this is your chance. Total enragement. Or enragement, if that is even a word. When you're enraged, but so frenzy. The spirit, the frenzy of the spirit. So use this to accomplish the impossible. Jupiter gives you if you believe it, you'll get it. And squaring the sun and moon, it will even shock your soul and your ego, all your being. Jupiter will show you how powerful the spirit is, but you need to fight this, but never with aggression. You need to create, so not with aggression. Now, this is the good side of this energy. And collectively, well, something happens with the war, something happens. And when Mars is so very, very active and agitated, you see the earthquakes, and it's almost like all of the other planets are more wild than Mars is out of bounds, if I'm not mistaken. So Mars out of bounds is extremely aggressive. And, it does hold a sextile to Saturn. And Saturn represents the stability of things. And it's Uranus who shakes things up. Sometimes Mars can do that as well. And speaking about Uranus, well, you can imagine that Uranus in the sign of Taurus, it doesn't matter if it has aspects or its sheer presence until 2026, tectonic changes. So earthquake is on the everyday menu. But anyway, where I'm going with this new moon in the water sign, so maybe we'll see sea quakes or something like that. And also on the world stage, this will do something to the collective as well, because people will demand their rights, people will demand justice, people will demand to be given what they believe in, what justice means to them. And Chiron is not holding a very strong major aspect to anything at the time of this new moon, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, so it doesn't really matter because its sheer presence is a wound, collective wound, and a fresh wound because Aries. Maybe we just received this wound, and of course we did in 2020, COVID, lockdown, financial crisis, and they scared us because we lost our security, the feeling of ever being able to be safe financially ever again, you know. And I know what I did there verbally, but still, all of us are, the soul is scared in our bodies because it got used to how life was until now financially, and now it's a different reality and it doesn't know what to do. We don't know what to do. The soul is not that almighty. The soul can be scared. We are our souls, okay? That just means that we're authentic and we're following our life path and journeys and we're authentic to the divine design, okay? But that doesn't mean we won't be scared. Doesn't mean we won't be in danger. That doesn't mean we won't sometimes fall and get it. It doesn't guarantee safety. Even if you're connected to our spirit, so what? That's why we need to be connected to all parts of our being, body as well, the instincts, the inner animal, because sometimes we need different skills, different sets of skills, different mindset, and sometimes we love different things. Even Venus in the sign of Gemini, also at 7 degrees. New moon at 7 degrees, Venus at 7 degrees, Jupiter at 7 degrees, the 7. Those of you who are knowledgeable in numerology will already tix divine intervention, divine manifestation. Okay, yes, we must make sure that it's that divine for us, because as I say, on the world stage there are going to be protests, there is going to be violence, the war is going to go somewhere, because I don't think this stops it. I think that this makes it worse, because Mars squares Pluto, Eris squares Pluto, so that means perhaps militaristic action, that means perhaps a misuse of power. Saturn retrograde, people are their own rulers, so they're having enough. So this doesn't spell very peaceful times on the world stage, but it can spell very peaceful times for us personally. Why? We get what we want now. We are much in greater control of our reality than we've ever been before in our existence, including as a species. So if someone is hell-bent on wanting peace, that's what they'll get. So they can't force this on us. Not even demigods or whatever. If no one can be right now, at least right now, in charge of our reality, only us. So we can choose to be safe. And this might be a bit weird for a lot of people, because is it that simple? If you believe with your heart of hearts, with every fiber of your being, that you can defend yourself because you're the ruler of your own reality, then yes. Yeah, absolutely. But the condition is this. With everything that you are believing it. And this is where I'm going, my advice. That means every part of your being has to be in unison. So mind with emotion, with shadow, with animal self, with everything, higher self. So because if we are not, this is where in the second part of this horoscope I'll get to the not so favorable expression of this energy. So I'm gonna end the first part here, so please stay tuned with me for the second part.